Has made his decision, and it is the LA Clippers as he's coming home not to play for the Lakers, but for the Clippers. A big reason why this happened was when Leonard pushed Paul George to find a way to get to the Clippers. George approached Oklahoma City Thunder for his desire to leave, and OKC pulled off a big deal, and Kawhi and Paul George will be playing for the Clippers next season. Here's how the trade breaks down. The Clippers are going to send the Thunder Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, 4 unprotected first-round picks.
Wow.
And another protected first-rounder and 2 pick swaps.
Let's bring in Stephen A. Smith now. Steve, what was your reaction when you heard about not only Kawhi Leonard heading to the Clippers, but also the trade involving Paul George?
Well, stunned to say the least. The Paul George part is what's stunning. We all knew that in terms of Kawhi Leonard and where he might end up. We all knew it was going to be the Clippers, the Lakers, or the Toronto Raptors. And for the last week or two, we've been hearing the Lakers, the Lakers, the Lakers. And then the Clippers kept saying to people like myself and others, excuse me, that ain't going to happen. I had one Clipper tell me there's no way in hell he's going to the Lakers. He's going to choose us, or he's going to stay in Toronto. So when you heard that Kawhi Leonard was going to end up a Clipper, that wasn't too surprising when you consider the fact that you have the richest owner in sports. You have one of the greatest executives in the history, if not the greatest executive in the history of the sport, in Jerry West, who obviously is the right-hand man of Steve Ballmer. And you have a Hall of Fame caliber coach in Doc Rivers, who, no disrespect to anybody else, but clearly is an upgrade from Frank Vogel. So you look at the Clippers organization, their mentality is that we're in a better situation right now. Lakers missed the playoffs 6 straight years. We just won 48 games, battled against the reigning champions in the first round, Golden State at the time. Where the shocker comes in is Paul George, because Paul George had an opportunity to be a Laker. Certainly things didn't work out in terms of Magic Johnson trying to acquire him, but as a free agent, he was free to go if he had so chose and had wanted to. And instead, he stayed in OKC. His relationship with Russell Westbrook obviously was considered to be stellar. Yes, they did get bounced out in the first round by the Portland Trailblazers. We all saw Damian Lillard hit that shot over Paul George to win the series. But to hear that Paul George ultimately approached OKC after being recruited by Kawhi Leonard and asking to be traded, and then for this to happen where essentially 5 different picks along with 2 players are given up by the Los Angeles Clippers, it's one thing to see Kawhi end up a Clipper. It's another thing to see the Clippers pull off getting him with Paul George. That is a shocker.
All right, so now what's the pecking order in the West now? How much better are the Clippers? Are they the favorite in the West now?
I think you have to give them the edge. I couldn't believe that anybody would come to me with a proposition that would say there's somebody better than the Los Angeles Lakers with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. But the Clippers were clearly a better team this year. And when you talked about them getting Kawhi Leonard, you only thought about him. But if you have Kawhi Leonard with Paul George and you have 2 stars on your team with the Los Angeles Clippers, with the depth that they have, with the coaching staff that they have, with the resources that they have, etc., I can't knock anybody right now who would think that the Clippers might very well be above the Lakers in the pecking order, particularly since, for the most part, they have a team, whereas in the case of the Los Angeles Lakers, you still have to construct one because they've got a roster to fill out with LeBron and AD.
We've got a great rivalry here in Los Angeles in the same building beginning next season. Stephen, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so before the Kawhi...
Any player in NBA history with at least 400 games played. This Clippers team has never gone to a conference final. Maybe Bobby Marks. So with Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, that skid will end. Bobby Marks joins us now. And Bobby, let's take a look now at this Clippers roster. How is it looking and shaping up with these 2 superstars on it?
Well, you've got your 2 franchise players right now, and I think when you look at their roster, you still have Patrick Beverley, who they've agreed to in principle on a new contract. You have Landry Shamet. You still have Lou Williams, Montrezl Harrell. You've agreed to a new contract with Rodney McGruder. They got Mo Harkless in a trade from Miami earlier this week, and the likelihood is that you have Ivica Zubac. So it's not like it's bare bones there, Linda. There's still a foundation there, and yes, it costs you Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Danilo Gallinari, and I think when you're getting a player like Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, the picks are worth it. I know it's a lot of picks that are going out, but these are players that are going to be on this roster for the next three or 4 years here. So now it's just about kind of trimming around the edges. You still have your $4.8 million room exception to go out and maybe add another piece here, but it's not like both players are walking into an empty roster. There's a foundation in place here.
It sounds like a big reason why Kawhi Leonard wanted to come there, of course, with Paul George. Then you look at, what can you tell OKC Thunder fans? My goodness, they didn't see this coming. What about their roster?
Yeah, well, you still have Russell Westbrook. That's the big question there.
Yeah.
Yep, you have Russell Westbrook and you have Steven Adams, and Gilgeous-Alexander is certainly a nice player to complement Westbrook, next to him. And but yeah, you lose Paul George, who is an all-star, and I think for Sam Presti, certainly the writing was on the wall with Paul George asking to be out. Now you made a nice save when you were able to recoup a bounty full of draft picks. I haven't even been able to go through them all yet. There's so many, but this is the nature of the beast. I mean, this is the business of the NBA when you realize that a player that you signed and who committed for 4 years doesn't want to be there. Now, how do you kind of save face here and turn that player into a young player and draft picks? And now the question is going to be as far as what the future of Russell Westbrook is going to be. And I think if you're Oklahoma City, yes, this is not a good day for you, but I trust Sam Presti, their general manager there, as far as how he can rebuild this team or retool this team going forward.
Now, when we talk about the Los Angeles Lakers, they wasted no time. They've agreed to a deal with Danny Green. Many thought Danny Green was going to follow Kawhi Leonard to the end and back, his former teammate with the Raptors. So let's look at the Lakers. If the numbers are 2 years, $30 million for Danny Green to be a Los Angeles Laker, let's look at their roster and where they stand.
Well, there's a lot of work to go, Linda. I mean, there is a lot of work, and if that Green number is 2 years, 30, that's $15 million off of the projected $32 million that they had in cap space, and we're still trying to figure out if maybe Anthony Davis does not waive this trade bonus now, right? The trade bonus was part of Kawhi Leonard coming. Is this going to change now? If that's the case, that number shrinks down to $27 million. So I think we'll see in the next 4 or 5 hours here if the Davis trade bonus is still going to be waived. If it is, it's $32 million. Now we get 15 off the cap. It's $17 million. But Linda, you had 7 or 8 roster holes. You had Jared Dudley and Troy Daniels had agreed to contract. Now you add Danny Green. That brings you up to 6, I believe. You still have 8 roster spots to fill. You need a point guard. You need a bench. And this is kind of your plan B if you're the Lakers here.
It is going to be fun right here where we're talking to you from downtown L.A., L.A. Live, the neighborhood of Staples Center. Bobby Marks, thanks for the latest.
Thanks, Linda.
Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, some of the most efficient players with the ball in their hands last season. They ranked first and second in points per touch, according to Second Spectrum. They're going to each be getting a whole lot of touches in Doc Rivers' offense coming up next season. Kawhi Leonard, Paul George headed to
record collection of draft picks, 4 first-round picks, 4 unprotected future first-round picks, a protected future first-round pick, 2 pick swaps, and outstanding rookie point guard Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, Danilo Gallinari for Paul George. Paul George came to the Thunder in the last couple of days and asked to be traded to the Clippers. He wanted to play with Kawhi Leonard, and to get this deal done to stave off the Lakers, stave off the Toronto Raptors, the Los Angeles Clippers, Steve Ballmer, Lawrence Frank, their president, made a decision to make, really a historic commitment to deliver 2 All-Stars to their team. And now in Staples Center, it's Paul George and Kawhi Leonard against Anthony Davis, LeBron James.
From what you're hearing, with Paul George going to the Clippers with Kawhi Leonard, if OKC didn't help to make that trade happen, would Kawhi Leonard have gone ahead and picked the Clippers if George was not coming with him?
I don't believe Kawhi Leonard was going to go to the Clippers without a second star coming in. I think essentially Kawhi Leonard's position in these last couple of days to all the teams was, I'm maybe going to go to the best team and the team that loads up. And the Clippers were the team that had to make a move to bring in a second star. There is more talent with the Lakers, with LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Obviously, the team he left in Toronto. The Clippers had been Kawhi Leonard's focus for this entire process, but they needed to improve themselves. They go out and get Paul George, and now you have these two elite bookend forwards to play together, but they paid a steep price. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, their first-round pick last year, had an outstanding rookie season. Patrick Beverley will be their point guard now, but the Clippers, faced with the idea of Kawhi Leonard setting up shop in their own building with the Lakers and what that big three would have looked like, or even him going back to Toronto, they went all in a way that we have not seen a team previous go all in.
This is amazing. Adrian Wojnarowski, you've been following it all along. Hard to predict. Just incredible. Thank you for your insight joining SportsCenter.
Thanks, Linda.
All right, let's bring in Rachel Nichols now, host of The Jump on ESPN. She joins us from Las Vegas. Rachel, first of all, your general reaction when you heard the news of Kawhi Leonard to the Clippers with Paul George in this trade.